Welcome in. Chicago Fire Weekly presented by the Private Bank. It is time now for Fire Field Vision powered by NovaCare. The Chicago Fire on the road the last couple of weeks. They had a loss at New York City FC and then a 3-2 defeat to Sporting Kansas City. They now return home, and that'll be a good thing. Frank, another game on the road against a good team in Sporting Kansas City. They had their guys back. Beasler was there. Oparo was there. It was a difficult performance. The Fire struggled in the first half. It looked like they were coming on, but just couldn't get that tying goal.
Yeah, it's been tough couple games, and I think we've talked about it before. When we looked at this team, they've been so consistent throughout the year, and then, they come back from this break, and you can definitely see the effects we talked about, the timing, the rhythm was off a little bit, the sharpness was off, and it continued. It was a little bit better this game, but I think the second goal, giving up that second goal right before halftime, and then you come out at halftime, 6 minutes in, and you give the third goal against that team that's the best defensive team in the league, it's difficult to come back from there. So I think there were some good moments, but overall I still think that the team is not where it should be.
In all sports, it seems like allowing a goal right before the half or right after the half starts, it's always a killer, and that's what the Fire did, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, sports is momentum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And goals change games, and I think Frank's right. That goal happening before you go into halftime down 1-0 or at 1-1, you feeling good about yourself.
Right.
To give up that goal and then that's what you're left with, right? You feel that in the locker room. You're thinking about that goal. And I think for me, the big disappointing thing, if you're a Fire fan, is look. This was the first time all season Sporting Kansas City had given up 2 goals at home.
Mm-hmm.
If you score twice on this team, you expect to get a result. Yes. Going into the week, if I had said Fire are going to score twice, you're thinking they're getting at least a point. So to lose a game 3-2 to a team like this that just lost Dom Dwyer, very disappointing. I think the important thing, again, we talk about this all the time, but in Major League Soccer, you're going to have these moments where you go 2-3 games on the road where it's very difficult to get results and you lose games. And it's all about the response. Can you snap out of this streak sooner rather than later? This is a big game coming up at home against New England for that reason.
Yeah, and Frank, you played in the league, you coached in the league. How important is it, or is it just something that we're trying to make something out of, or at least I am, when you hear the players after the game, not only the coach, but the players say they didn't play poorly. They know what they did wrong. They know that they did not do what they needed to do to get the victory out there.
Yeah, listen, I think the players understand. I think when you don't have good games, and I think they're honest with their performance, and I think they're the first ones to go and say that. But that's why I felt that was an important game, just to come back and drag, not so much to win, but to have a better performance, compete, to be sharper, to play better, because I knew after that game, you come into this All-Star break, you're going to be missing 4 guys. There's a lot of stuff going around town that you can lose your focus and concentration, and now you have a very important game coming up Saturday, and I agree with Paul. You have a team that's coming in that's desperate for points. They're coming up some good wins. They have some quality players that can hurt you. So, this game, this Saturday, it's a must-win game. I don't care if it's great soccer or whatever. You got to get back on track, and you got to find your rhythm in this match.
And, defending home field. I mean, the Fire did this not only this year, Paul, but you've brought it up a couple times last year as well. They were a very tough team to play here at Toyota Park. This year, 9-0-1. They want to protect their home field.
You have to in this league. It's so difficult to get results on the road. That winning at home and getting 3 points at home becomes a necessity for teams that want to be in the playoffs and teams that want to compete for Supporter Shield and MLS Cup. So, this game at home against an Eastern Conference team, I mean, that's a 6-point game. And when you look at the way the standings are breaking down right now, you've got the Red Bulls just 3 points behind the Fire. It's getting a lot tighter in the East right now. And a few more bad results, all of a sudden now you go from a first-place team before the Gold Cup break, maybe you're in 5th or 6th place. So this is just an absolutely massive game.
Yeah. And I think for me, when I look back at the last games that they played, the one away in Foxborough, which the team I felt dominated the game. Late in the game, I think there was a surge by New England, but I think they dominated the midfield of play with Schweinsteiger, with Juninho, and with Dax there. And what they did, they tried to overload the zone centrally, and then they created a lot of space for both outside backs. Now, Vincent was playing there with Polster, and they had a massive game, and I think it's going to come into play again, because I think for me, the center of the field, if you have those 3 guys, if you can take control of that, because they do play mostly in a diamond formation, and I think the spaces are going to be wide, and they did an excellent job in both those matches, winning those games, and I think that's going to be equally important this Saturday.
And I think, Frank alluded to this, and it's, kind of the elephant in the room, but the situation with the obviously, that's been out there, the contract talks and all of that stuff. You want that to come to a resolution of any kind. Because the locker room needs to move forward, and I think the player does, and everyone does for the good of the team. And I think we need to see where Akam is going to be with this team. Is he going to be starting? Is he going to be coming off the bench? I think that's factored in a little bit in these games as well. That's an element that I think it's a little bit controllable and actually maybe helped by the All-Star game a little bit. That the team gets away a little bit. There's a slight break in the normal routine. But for me, if Akam is starting, he has the potential, as always, to be a game-breaking player. Goals in the last 2 games, and if he can get isolated on the outside, like Frank says, he's got a chance to make some noise against New England.
The fans love him. Not only after he scores, he kisses the badge. When the game was over, he was one of the guys to go on over and clap for the fans that came out and supported him. He's one of the guys that is a difference maker speed-wise. There aren't many players in the league that have the kind of speed he has.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it. I think he can break the game open on his own. I think he's benefited from the other players around him. But you're right. I think he's a guy that can change the game on his own. Yeah.
We come back. We'll take a look at the opponent for this week as the New England Revolution are in town. A 7:30 start, 7 o'clock pregame if you can't get out here on CSN. And $2 hot dogs, as Frank was saying. I'm excited about that. $2 hot dogs presented by Red Hot Chicago. 7:30 start, 7 o'clock pregame. The Revolution in town.